DreAllDay.com.
What up, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. This week's motivation is called You Become Your Identity. I was listening to this speaker the other day. I don't even know his name. I was listening to a reel, like a highlight reel of his speaking. And one of the things that he said is that every individual will always perform in life within 10% of their own self-image. So if your self-image, and when we say self-image goes on a scale from 0 to 100, and your self-image is a 70, your performance in life will always be somewhere between a 60 and an 80, because that's within 10% of 70. You will always perform within 10% of wherever you see yourself. Whoever you see yourself as, you're always going to be somewhere in that range. So if you want to do better in life, what you got to do is raise your self-image. And if you want to do worse, you got to lower your self-image. There's another theory. A lot of different people have had different theories. Tony Robbins calls it the 68-degree theory. If any of you at your home, you got central air or central heating in your house, you got a thermostat, right? So you set the thermostat at 68 degrees. So the temperature in the house goes up to 69 degrees. What happens? Thermostat comes on, the air AC comes on, and it cools the house down to 68. And what happens if the temperature drops to 65 degrees? Thermostat comes on, the heat turns on, and it heats the house up to 68 degrees. So no matter what happens, the air conditioner turns on. The air conditioner being your mind, being your actions, the way that you live your life, is going to turn on to either the heat or the AC in order to bring you right back to that exact level that you set yourself at. So if you set your thermostat at 68 degrees, no matter what happens in your life, you always going to come back to that 68. So if you got a mentality, right? Someone has a mentality. Let's say you work at a sales job, and you got a mentality that you sell cars. Let's say you got a mentality that you sell 20 cars a month. And in the first 2 weeks of the month, you sell 20 cars. What are you going to do the last 2 weeks of the month? You're probably going to loaf off. You're not going to work as hard. You're going to relax. Why? Because mentally, subconsciously, you're saying to yourself, you know what? I already sold my 20. Even if 2 weeks into the month, you're like, wow, I could set a new record for myself, a new personal best. Subconsciously, you know what you're going to do? You're going to work a little bit less hard. You're going to show up just a couple minutes later. You're going to leave just a little bit earlier because your subconscious mind, that internal thermostat says, I already got to where I need to be. I'm already at 68 degrees. And what happens if you sell 10 cars through the first 29 days of the month and there's only 1 or 2 days left in the month? You know what you're going to do? You're going to work harder than you ever worked before in your life. You're going to reach a level of energy that you didn't even know you had, and you're going to sell 10 cars in the last 2 days of the month. Why is that? And if you don't sell 10, you're going to come pretty damn close. Why is that? Because your thermostat says, I'm 10 cars away from where I see myself at. I got to sell these last 10 cars. And you won't feel right. Your body will feel out of balance. Your whole mind, body, spirit, everything feels out of balance until you get to that level that you see yourself at. And once you get to that 20, let's say it's 2 days left in the month. And the first day you sell 10 cars, so now you at 20. Are you going to work just as hard on the 31st day? No. You know why? Because you just hit your thermostat number. You don't need to keep the heat on anymore because you already reached that level. And if you sell one more, you're going to cool down till you get right back to that 68 degrees. So it's the same thing in anything in life. So this could be about how much money you make every year. This could be about how many girls you meet when you go to a party. This could be about how many points you score on the basketball team. This could be about anything you want to name, whatever it is you do in life, any business that you're in, any sport that you play, any people that you deal with, how many people you sign up for your organization, how many customers you get at your business, whatever it is you're doing, you got a thermostat internally, subconsciously. Not something that you can think about constantly, but it's a subconscious thermostat that says, this is my level. And when you hit that level, you will not go any harder because you're comfortable being there. And if you go a little bit above your level, you know what you're going to do? You're going to slowly, very subtly self-sabotage until you get right back to that right point. So how do you change that subconscious thing? You got to make a decision that your level is higher. And it's got to be conscious at first. For a while, you're going to have to make it a conscious thing. You're going to have to consistently think about it. So if you sold 20 cars in the first 2 weeks of the month, you have to consciously force yourself. It's going to be uncomfortable because comfort says, oh, I already got 20. I'm good for the month. That's where you're comfortable. So it's going to be uncomfortable to keep going just as hard as you did for that first 2 weeks to sell 40 cars. And that first month that you sell 40 is going to be kind of uncomfortable because your subconscious mind not used to it. It's like, yo, the thermostat is 68 degrees. It's going to be screaming at you like, yo, The thermostat 68 degrees. Now we at 78 degrees. What are you doing? We need to cool down. You got to force yourself to keep that thermostat up there. And it's like conditioning. Like any of you who play a sport, you know how when you're on the basketball team or whatever sport, and y'all do sprints or any kind of suicides and stuff, and you condition to run. So if you was to run sometime in your normal life during that time period, it's easy because you condition to do all that running. But if you don't work out for like a month and you don't do any conditioning, and then you got to run, you go up a flight of steps and you out of breath, you like, damn, I'm out of shape. It's the exact same thing. You condition yourself. But when you go back to the basketball team a month later and you start doing those suicides again, and then you go up a flight of steps, you're like, this is nothing. I can do this 20 times in a row and I wouldn't even be tired. It's conditioning. So you have to condition yourself to be at that higher level. So whatever level you consider yourself, you want to be higher wherever you at, that 40 cars instead of 20, you got to condition yourself. Which means you got to physically force yourself to do it past the discomfort. Running with that same analogy, if you're on a basketball team and you hadn't worked out all summer, but then y'all start doing suicides, the first day of doing suicides, you feel like you're going to die, right? You feel like your lungs are going to come out of your chest because you haven't done that type of conditioning all summer, right? But guess what? After 2 weeks of it, after 2 weeks of being uncomfortable, the next day is a little bit less uncomfortable. The next day, a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, until a month into practices and y'all doing suicides every day is easy. It's nothing, right? Now your conditioning went from right here, the thermostat was at 68, now it's at 78, and this is a normal feeling, right? It's the exact same thing. So you got to force yourself through the discomfort of, hey, we going a little bit higher than our normal level to set your self-image at a higher level so that you can consistently perform there. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. If you want to learn more about everything that I'm talking about, check out my book, The Mental Handbook, also The Mirror of Motivation on Amazon.com. Dre all day.
Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here. And make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.